Welcome to this new episode of Digital Dialogs with Gururaj and Vinayak Khadye. Before we begin with the podcast, here is a brief introduction of Guru and Vinayak. Gururaj is a well-respected professional with more than 2 decades of experience in CXO roles in banking, financial services, and insurance companies in India. Vinayak Khadye has more than 2 decades of experience in leadership roles in consulting, insurance industry and also as a co-founder of a startup in edtech space. He is the founder of Techaways Consulting. In Digital Dialogs podcast series, Gururaj and Vinayak go beyond jargons and buzzwords in the digital world and bring to the fore the true meanings of these terms. They discuss models, methodologies, technologies, architectures, case studies, and challenges and issues associated with digital initiatives, which can help you as decision maker. In this episode, Gururaj and Vinayak continue to discuss the prospects and relevance of a wide range of digital technologies in 2023. Over to Gururaj and Vinayak.
We have covered social media, mobile analytics. Now, let's come to your, favorite topic. I mean, you've in our informal discussions, you've talked a lot about cloud, and
Yeah.
challenges of cloud. Obviously, um, uh, there in Indian context, there was, it was slow to take off in terms of, uh, you know, let's say transitioning from on-premise to cloud. But now I think there is a huge action and traction that cloud space is receiving. So over to you.
Yeah. See, I have seen in the last few years quite a bit of, I've been personally involved in quite a bit of cloud related activities, right from strategizing to execution to handling the challenges of it. And hence, I, I think that, it's a good question to have. It's a pretty large question to have for corporates. Um, there's no doubt that it is inevitable. Cloud is inevitable. Okay, let me be just upfront about it. Uh, Data centers, having own data centers, is the past. Simply because you will no longer have the resources to run it. Okay, you will not have the people to run that. Nobody will be interested in having their own data center and looking at the power and the cooling and uh, you know the cleaning and all that stuff, the building management systems and all that to be done. Then you look at the physical cabling, look at the racks, and so all those things are the past. Okay, similarly, when it comes to buying and running your own infrastructure, compute, again, I mean, it has its own life cycle. You manage it. These are commoditized activities which you don't need to do. Okay, I mean, as an enterprise, you don't need to do. But yes, the alternative is the cloud, but it's expensive. That is the negative point about cloud is it is very expensive as compared to on-premise. I would say 3 to 4 times the cost. Okay, so organizations would not want to move so easily. And this I'm talking purely about infrastructure as a service. Cloud is much more than that. So we can look at cloud in terms of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software
And
as a
software.
service. Yeah. So software as a service is no brainer.
And also
Wherever there
Guru,
are new,
fourth element is managing cloud. So you require some
yeah,
kind of software, because most corporates have more than one cloud environments to manage. So
correct.
that's probably a foundational pillar on which infrastructure platform and software as service can operate.
Absolutely. So what's happening now is one that you need to have the expertise to run the cloud. Okay, so you need to build a new expertise. Okay, while of course we are slowly scaling down on the expertise to run your own data center, run your own infrastructure and all that stuff. But at the same time, you need to build the expertise to run the cloud. You need to know what are you running on the cloud, why are you running it, how is it being monitored, how is it being updated, etc., etc. So that's very, very critical, number one. The second thing is the mindset with regard to the financials. Okay. uh, in When you had your own infrastructure, when you bought your own equipment, you had a capex budget, number one. Then there was an AMC on that, and you would have people working to maintain it, etc. But the capex also, the way it was, you would project a particular utilization, you would project the capacity required for it, then go into the market, look at the options, negotiate and then procure it and then deploy it. That cycle itself would take some time, and then you would believe that since you have spent the money, you have to use it to the maximum. That was the mindset. You have to sweat the asset, you know right from the time you have got it commissioned in your data center till the time you actually throw it out, right? So you have to maximize the usage. Whereas now, if you go to the cloud, you have to actually minimize the usage of any particular component, whether it is network, whether it is memory, whether it is processor, whether it is pure storage, whatever be the component, you would want to minimize it in terms of the category, in terms of
That's an
the
interesting point of view.
quantity. No, it's a fact. Category, the quantity, the and even the time for which it is used. Okay, and you have to be careful about all the financial aspects. Is it a monthly billing? Is it a daily billing? You have to check each and every step. And there are some components which are measured on, say, for example, quantity of data that is moving in and out. Okay, so you have to be very careful. What are you using it for, and how is it getting measured? Okay, the other part is people say, oh, cloud means there is auto provisioning. You can create a server at the click of a button. Yeah, but will you leave that such a large financial decision in the hands of a system engineer who doesn't understand financials? Okay, then you will bring in a finance analyst into the role, okay, to decide. Then automatically you are adding human intervention, and you are adding time delay in the process. It is no longer automated, that, oh, somebody needs a server, or a container, let me just spin off. If you bring in the financial analyst into the picture, then he has to study the implication, he has to study for what period, how much is the budget, how much, can you afford it, etc., etc. So that is one important thing. Okay, the second part is, as I said, you need to understand each and every component, each and every offering of the cloud provider. For example, okay, there are different categories of processors. Okay, they recommend something for production, something you can use for development and test, something for reporting, etc., etc. So are you using the right category of processor? Are you using the right category of each and every other component? So then you have to plan the architecture accordingly. Look at the redundancies. Look at your availability that you're looking for, the performance that you're looking for. Okay, all those are cloud engineering, cloud architecture, you know, steps that you need to be skilled at. You need to have the resources to do that. So that's another part. Yes, the cloud has a lot of platform offerings. For example, you can easily roll out a CI/CD pipeline on the cloud. Okay, you can have a mobile development platform on the cloud. You don't need to start from basics there. You just need to uh, you know you just go to, say, Google, and you say you want to develop an app. The basic app you can just spin off in a few minutes. Or you go to Microsoft, you can do that. Power Apps, possible. I mean, it's just a matter of few minutes to set up a basic app. Okay, I mean, with a few screens and a database at the back end, and you can start running. So these are amazing platforms that are available. And software as a service, again, I mean, if you want an HRMS, you want a tax tool or a finance GL system, all those you can do for any industry on the cloud. You don't need to run them yourself. Okay, so these are great positives of the cloud. But I mean, you have to ensure that you do your financial engineering as well.
Yeah. So while cloud has a lot of benefits, I think cost cannot be a major driver. So a lot of times, cloud is also sold as something that will allow corporates to save, costs compared to their existing on-premise costs. So you are saying that that cannot be a primary driver, and you
That's
will probably not achieve a lot of cost savings, but there'll be other obviously quantitative and qualitative benefits that you will
absolutely.
have, because of cloud.
Absolutely. See, it's a very simple shift. Okay, uh, I can assure you. I mean, I don't think I have found anybody who says that going to the cloud has saved money, okay, or reduced the cost, IT cost. At least I have not met anyone so far. But that's, I mean, if somebody is going to the cloud just to save money, then that's a wrong decision. It will not happen. But if you're going there to get more benefits of technology, please, I mean, that's speed to market, flexibility in working, homogeneity in having solutions, all those things, and even some amount of better risk management, as I may say. Because if you're on premise, you're patching, you're hardening, you're various physical security norms, all those things will be a question mark. You may not be able to adhere to all those, whereas on the cloud it's very simple. You can say that do an auto patching, or you can say that at least alert me when patches are to be done. Hardening, they will take care of themselves. Physical security, you don't need to worry because you don't even know where the cloud is. They will just certify, so all that is done. So I would say that there are other benefits, but certainly not financial.
Okay. So I mean, purely now, uh, from the perspective of adoption and evolution, you know,
Hmm.
would you categorize it as a growth stage technology, or you think that it's tending towards maturity?
Well, in terms of evolution of the technology, it's tending towards maturity, but adoption, there's still a long way to go, because
It's
a
still
lot
there
of
is a long,
people,
long way.
yeah, because people have not adhered and are still not adhering to a particular uh, mechanism of adopting, because a lot of applications need to be re-architected if you want to leverage cloud infra adequately. You need to become cloud native. Just shifting from a virtual machine or a physical machine on premise to a virtual machine on the cloud, it's absolutely not value adding. In fact, it's just expensive. That's it. Nothing else. You're not doing anything. So those things need to be taken care of. You will
Okay.
need to work with modern applications, and then you can leverage the applications, the cloud benefits completely.
Okay. So, but I think, you also briefly mentioned about it in terms of cloud is just not infrastructure as a service, but it is also platform as a service, and particularly software as a service. Okay. So again, when you're looking at software as a service, so infrastructure and platform, it's still largely a technical domain. But when it comes to software as a service, obviously, one has to keep the business perspectives. I mean, the business, both the objectives and priorities and people in mind when you are making those choices, and when you are uh, going ahead with software as a service. And
Hmm.
uh, while again, there is, from a evolution perspective, obviously lot of now solutions are offering themselves on cloud as a service. Okay, but adoption is definitely, is early stage in my opinion over there, simply because people are not able to. So there are two challenges. Okay, and then I am sort of engaged with uh, a very good insurance, digital insurance platform. Okay, which is initially, of course, we used to offer it as a on-prem solution, but now uh, even corporates are looking at, business users are looking at cloud solutions. But at the same time, while uh, deployment wise it is possible, but commercial uh, you know proposition creates a lot of challenge. If it's a
Yes.
core application, if it's a peripheral industry standard application, like you talked about, HRMS, or to a certain extent, CRM kind of solutions, then you're just,
Hmm.
deploy and start using it, or register and, start using the apps. But when it comes to core applications, and particularly which is managing, customer facing processes, wherein there is a lot of company intellectual property involved, okay,
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
in the design of these processes, and then of course execution of those processes. In such a cases, you know the solution requires lot of customization. Okay, it's not that you take, in the context of, let's say, a new business processing platform or application
Hmm.
or a claim system, okay, in insurance industry. It rarely happens that, you take the application and then just start using. It doesn't happen that way, and then there's a lot of customization. So I've seen there are a lot of challenges, around the commercial proposition. While, that you can um, deploy it, it's like deployed. First of all, it becomes a dedicated instance. It's not like it
Yeah.
is like a, public kind of cloud, and then, you're just registering like salesforce.com or a Gmail, or Outlook kind of mailing and collaboration platform. So how do you see really this puzzle getting addressed, or it is going to remain, clumsy kind of a thing,
Uh,
particularly when it comes to cloud? Because then pricing becomes extremely, difficult, because corporates still have to pay a huge amount of, upfront uh, fees, and then of course there are, annual, you know fees to be paid, in which are linked to volume of transactions or some other metric.
Correct. Correct. So, see, I see this evolving, more towards commoditization of those processes and requirements. Okay, I'll tell you why. Because I mean, the benefit of a differentiated process or a differentiated rule, uh, can be taken out of that platform, and you can do it separately. Uh, the platform is basically more to do with the workflow, the the running of the data within the processes and coming out. Uh, i i think those can still be standard, and it will happen. It's only the initial phase where people are saying, okay, you do this for me, do that for me, etc. It's like going to a garment retailer and buying a particular size and then saying, oh, can you adjust the sleeves for me, or the length for me, or something like that. But they will still it will still not be a completely tailor made kind of a solution, right? So that's what I see the situation to be. The challenge I see is also that in a SaaS platform, almost always you will have a per user kind of a model of charging. Okay, and in India, the number of users always tends to be very large. Okay, just give me a second. Whereas,
Yeah, Guru, I'll take care of in the editing. I'll take care of in the editing. So you just start the point again, okay?
yeah,
So that I'll just
so
delete in between.
yeah, so in the case of the SaaS solutions, I believe that there is a significant difference. Almost all the SaaS solutions tend to be charged on a per user model. Okay, the softwares. Okay, no, I'm not talking about the platforms. Whereas earlier we used to have solutions on cores, I mean applications being also licensed on the number of cores that which they are housed on. If the server has say 16 cores, 32 cores, you buy a software license according to that, and if you want to expand, add 4 more cores or 8 more, whatever it is. It used to be that way. So now it's become an extremely important factor, because in India, the number of users for anything is pretty large. If you want to give it to your distributors, it's large. If you want to give it to the end customers, it's much, much larger. If you want to give it to even employees, employees in companies, even medium-sized companies are in hundreds and thousands and those kind of numbers. So even if you charge a small amount per month per employee or per user, it becomes a large amount. Okay, so there is still a resistance to move from this model of on-premise per core model to the per user of the cloud SaaS platforms. That is one. The second thing is also with regard to how do you use the applications with regard to DR facility, okay, with regard to availability and those kind of situations. In many of the non-critical, non-core things, it's perfectly okay. I mean, for example, if your HR system doesn't work for 4 hours, 8 hours, it's okay. Or your GL system for a few hours it's not working, you're not able to issue a particular payment or an invoice or whatever, that's okay. For a few hours it's fine. But if it's a core system, if you want it running 24/7, then there are different implications. So these are factors which come in when you make decisions. And hence I believe, yes, while it may take some time for organizations to decide, certainly the non-core applications will happen in SaaS models. People I don't think the IT teams have the wherewithal to run and support all these things today. There are too many things on the plate. It's not possible for organizations to keep on running things themselves. How does it matter? I mean, any industry, any organization of any size, HRMS is HRMS. Okay, so why would they run their own HRMS? There's no value addition there. Same way with, say, learning management system, or you want to, run a GL system, a taxation, a GST. All those things are mandatory requirements. Every organization has to run it. Every organization has to do it. But it's not necessary that it's not going to be very different for across industries or across size of companies or whatever. You can just do whatever your competitor does. That's absolutely fine.
Yes, but there are obviously other processes which are being automated, okay, by these systems which kind of give competitive advantage. But I understand where you're coming from. So it's again, we'll discuss cloud at length in an independent session, okay. But in the context of today's discussion, when we are talking about um, cloud, uh, cloud's relevance in the year 2023, or in the financial year 2024, 23, 24. Obviously, cloud seems to be something that CIOs will be spending a lot of their time.
Absolutely. Very much.
Organizations and senior managements will have, it will attract a lot of mind share
Yeah.
from them, both from infrastructure perspective as well as software perspective. So adoption is something which is probably in the growth stage, but so we probably scratching only the surface at this point in time.
Very
And
much so.
then of course, but tech wise, you feel that, and there is a consensus between us that it's more or less somewhere between growth and maturity. I mean, other
Yes.
than of course cloud management, but there are also now good tools available, so that they
Yes.
give good capabilities for infrastructure management teams within corporates to look at their cloud deployments, and then of course optimizing them, optimizing the usage, and billing, etc., etc. So
And controls and security as well.
episodes. So today we discussed Smack. We still haven't discussed blockchain, so we'll keep it for next time. So thank you everyone for being with us today, and of course we will continue our conversations on these technologies in our next few sessions.